We've just been reminded that when you go to speak, please get as close to your mic as possible. They're still having issues in the other room hearing, and even in the back here as well. So next on our agenda then is the deferred report, LTCR CW 05-17. Do I have a mover to bring that forward? Councillor Patterson, and a seconder, Councillor Body. With the new date then being July. From what was originally printed was May because of the timing that the report come out in the first place, and obviously with it having been deferred, then the new date then will be July of 2017. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. This is the motion that's, I think this is the either third or fourth time that this is being presented then to County Council. Councilor McQueen?
Mr. Warden, so this is a committee of the whole, and then whatever is decided here will still come to County Council for final approval, correct?
That's correct.
Which will be, what's the date on that? June 8th. Okay, thank you.
Okay, floor is open. No hands are for it. I'll Councilor McQueen.
Well, thank you, Mr. Warden, and I want to take the opportunity to thank all the people that have come out today. We must be reminded that we as county councillors, we work for the people. It's very unfortunate that we have put the community of Durham on edge for a year, and now the community of Markdale since late winter. I attended, and a number of other people attended, the public engagement that was at the complex in Markdale earlier on this year, which I think was somewhere over 350 people in attendance. And one of the questions that was asked at that public engagement was, are you in favor of moving the 66 beds and selling Grey Gables? And nobody put their hand up. So 350 people from the community of Markdale came out to something that was very important, and nobody there supported it. I just think that's of note to this county council. And I just want to make one last comment that in Markdale, I guess I could refer to as the three-legged stool. The hospital that's been announced for a rebuild, or for a new build, and that's scheduled now. It's on the province is capital plan to be completed by 2020-21, which I think was in that budget that just came out for that next 3-year money that was proposed. We have the CHC that's continuing to grow. And as I mentioned earlier on, it's one of the top CHCs in the province. And then we have the long-term care facility also in Markdale. And again, with a three-legged stool, if you lose one of the legs, guess what happens? It falls over. And it has been noted that we know that we have some numbers that have been presented to us today with regards to changes and areas where there's more seniors in the west part of Grey County, and I don't dispute that. But just recently, myself and our council and our community just went through a school, Blue Water District School Board, ARC, for the only public school we had in Markdale. And they used numbers from 2014 from the Watson report, but none of them, and some of today, showed what's happening in Southgate, and now what's happening in Markdale. So we're always behind in our number data, but we can see today what's happening. We can see today that development is coming. And I think the bigger thing that's driving that is real estate values. It's pushing people to the north. I just heard the other day that houses are now selling in Markdale or in Dundalk for over $500,000. Wow. So Why is that? Because people are coming to our community, and more so where the development is. And I think we as county councilors have to be prepared for that wave that is coming. And however it is decided here today, we can't go back. Once we make a decision of this seriousness, we can't go back. We have good bones, we have a good base for long-term care in the county of Grey. Let's look out for the people that are there. I know that people who are going to be in those homes or have been in those homes have been long-time taxpayers of the county of Grey. I wonder what the hell they feel about this idea. I think some of them are here. So I want to remind County Council that this decision could change or has an effect on the future in Grey County for the next 20-plus years. Thank you.
Any other comments? Councillor Burley.
I will be asking for a recorded vote.
Okay, you've had perusal of a number of reports over the last number of months, including the in-camera from last week. We'll keep the floor open, but only for a short time. I mean, with all due respect, we could sit here all day and debate back and forth on this. I think what I've been getting lately is more comments from people of, you've got your information, please just make your decision. So Councillor Halliday, I'll open the floor to you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Warden. This recommendation, notwithstanding some of the other sections in 1 and 2, is recommending the services of a management company. And I'm curious as to why we feel, with the competent staff that we have, why we need a management company to help us run our business. And then there's nothing here that brings out what it might cost and how we would fund the cost of a management company on a day-to-day basis. So I'm just saying that there's probably not sufficient information being presented at this particular time to understand the consequences of hiring. Even though you're going to go out to an RFP, then you might find out what the costs are. But even if that's the case, you're already committing in here in a provide input in planning development of a new amalgamated long-term care facility. So you're already you're asking for many things here rather than just one. And to find out what the cost of a management service company would be one thing that maybe we need to know. But to say that it's got to be integrated in with a major decision where we've had lots of community input today, and we haven't even taken the time to honor the information that's being given to us by our communities, I think this is not probably what I call a socially just approach.
I'll direct your question then to Lynn for her response.
A management company would provide a wide variety of services, things such as policy and procedures, helping and assistance with implementation of best practices, assistance with purchasing and procurement. The good thing about a request for proposal is it provides an opportunity to see what the suite of services is a management service can offer, and it would allow county council then to make a decision on what services specifically are needed and would benefit the homes and at what price that is, and make that final decision.
Okay, any further discussion? Councillor Fosbrook.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I would like to move to amend the resolution to separate the questions.
Okay, in discussion with staff regarding that, it's felt that it's a multitask part, so to separate it may not give the proper direction. And I don't want to put words in staff's mouth, but we did have that discussion prior to the agenda going out. Kim, I wonder if you could elaborate a little bit more on the reason that it's being presented in the format that it is to try and move it forward. Kim?
I think we're quite challenged to try and divide up this or make amendments to this particular resolution. The management company plays a couple of roles, as Lynn indicated in her report earlier this morning. One is to, as we've discussed at length, both publicly and in camera, to provide support to us to maintain and improve on our quality of care, efficiency and effectiveness in the homes, as well as to provide support for a build, whatever that may look like. Certainly, as staff, we are not qualified to be able to direct what a redevelopment would look like. We would need specialist assistance in that. So that's why the management company piece is in there. Should council determine that they don't wish to proceed with the resolution that's before you, I think it might be best if we step back. We do have a way of breaking this out and looking at it in a different way if you choose not to proceed with this.
Councillor McKean.
I'd have to agree with staff. I think the question should stay together, to put out an RFP. The first question they're going to ask, are we dealing with 2 homes, or are we dealing with 3? I think the question we need to settle right now is, there was the resolution that's presented, is are we going to go with the sale of Green Gables and the moving of those beds to Rockwood Terrace? And I think that is the key of this, and the other part falls into after that. Thank you.
Councillor Halliday?
Yeah, I'd like to second Councillor Fosbrook's.
Well, I didn't see a motion from her, and that I think what you were asking for was to separate. Staff now has given their response as far as why they would like to have that. If you want that as a motion on the floor, then to have a decision on, we can proceed with that.
As I stated, I would like to move to amend the resolution to separate the questions.
Separating the question can only be done if you can actually separate out the issues so they are completely separate and you're only making a few changes in pronouns and conjunctions. We spent some time yesterday looking at this, thinking this would come up. It was staff's viewpoint that they do all mesh and work together, and that separating them out doesn't work. That would be a decision of the chair if he would agree with that, or if he believes that you can separate them out. So I would defer to the chair.
Thanks for that job. I think, in all due respect, I think it does all tie in together. You're either for this moving forward, or you're opposed to it moving forward. So I'm going to suggest that it stay together. Actually, I had Councillor Greenfield before Councillor Halliday. My apologies. Councillor Greenfield?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Just a comment as opposed to questions. Lots of information. Thank you to staff for all their work. Thank you to the presenters this morning. I have to admit I have changed my direction a number of times over the last 6 months on this, and I do have some problems. I'm worried about the selling price of Grey Gables. I've heard $12 million. I've heard 9. I've heard 6.5. I'm worried about, as Mr. McKean alluded to, the sale of a public asset that's been in Markdale for over 100 years, not Grey Gables itself, but certainly their facility. I'm worried about the future status of Grey Gables once it's sold. Yes, we can put in our RFP conditions as to what the home should provide in the future. We still live in a free enterprise system. Perhaps the new purchaser of that facility might, after a couple of years, decide, hey, I want to go in a different direction. Where would that lead us? I can't help but go back to the fact that many of the potential residents in Grey Gables have lived here, worked here, paid taxes here all their life. And I cannot get around sacrificing that facility. I see Mr. Wepler's numbers, and I've never disputed Mr. Wepler's numbers, but we at County Council have to deal more with dollars and cents. We have to deal with the human factor, and I simply cannot vote in favor of this resolution coming forward. Thank you.
Councillor Halliday?
The reason I was going to second the motion that was made by Councillor Fosbrook was simple, is perhaps, even if we have 3 homes, we should be looking at what a management company could provide as a service. I don't see that they have to be integrated. I see it as a separate concept, and therefore that's why I was supportive of that motion. That's a simple fact. Management companies can look at 3 homes, 2 homes, whatever, you can give them, but you're forcing a commitment here by asking us to support this, to forcing an amalgamation on us, which I'm not comfortable with supporting. So if you would, so if Councillor Fosbrook's still standing on her motion, I'm going to second that we separate the issues here.
Excuse me, Councillor Halliday.
Speak really close here because we're really struggling to hear.
It was staff's intention, because the motion would be different because of not being an amalgamated facility. We would then have another motion ready that you could then present, that would be the management project committee or management company separate. So we see that as a separate motion that would come forward after. If this does not pass, that is an option that council then can bring forward another motion that would deal strictly with that piece.
Well, my contention is, why don't you start with that rather than try and finish with it?
The issue from our perspective was that there's more than one thing tied up in that management company. It's that amalgamated facility. Once again, if it's the decision of the chair that they wish to separate it, that's certainly a decision that can be done. It's not the staff's recommendation to do so.
I understand that, but council makes the decision.
The chair makes the decision.
Okay, ready for the vote? A recorded vote has been asked for.
So point of
We're
order.
voting on the motion that is before you.
You didn't bring Councillor Fosbrook's motion to be looked at?
From staff's interpretation before, it was the decision of the chair whether to split it or not on this one because of the information
So
in
you,
it.
as the chair, have decided that we can't follow the procedural bylaw that we can put before us. You're forcing us into a corner. Is that what you're saying?
If I may, Councillor Halliday, taking a decision, the resolution that's before you is a comprehensive resolution that deals with a decision regarding the future of the homes, as well as the support of a management company and the role that that would play in supporting the development and the management of our homes going forward. Should council so choose not to support this resolution, then we can deal with a management company resolution as a standalone matter. But to take that out of this resolution at this point, it doesn't, we would need to have multiple motions then in order to get to the same place. So I think if we deal with the motion that's in front of you, then if that doesn't proceed, then we can still deal with the management company issue as a separate and standalone item, because it does stand cleanly on its own if we need to go there.
I don't agree with the process, but if that's your decision, Mr. Chair, then that's what I have to live with, even though I don't think it's very democratic. Thank you.
What we're voting on is the motion that, as it reads in front of you today.
Ready?
Ready?
Mr. Warden, I want to challenge yourself, your decision on the procedure bylaw. I can do, any member may challenge the ruling of the warden immediately following the ruling. And I would like to put a motion on challenging your decision from county council.
Okay.
You're not accepting this as the motion that was brought on the floor. It says here, any member may challenge the ruling of the warden immediately following the ruling.
Okay, so you're making that then as a motion?
Yes, I'm making a motion to challenge your decision.
Okay. Do you have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Halliday? So the motion then is to, my decision then as the chair to direct, and that we vote on this motion as complete is what the motion that is on the floor then. So if, just to be very clear, a 4 vote then supports Councillor McQueen and Councillor Halliday in the fact that we break it up. An opposed vote then means that we will be voting on the motion as it stands.
Just point of order again, I think if it gets supported, then it goes back to the motion that's on the floor that was presented, whether that carries or not.
To amend then.
So Sharon,
Yeah.
Sharon, just to be clear, so then following council.
Okay, so there'll be two parts to this then. Okay? Okay, ready for the vote? All those in favor of Councillor McQueen's motion? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those opposed? Okay, so that then sets us still on the same path then that we're ready to go before, where we will vote then as the motion that's presented. I'll ask the clerk to call the vote.
Counselor Pringle,
Yes.
Counselor Mackey,
No.
Barfoot,
Yes.
Counselor Burley,
Yes.
Counselor McQueen. No. Counselor Halliday,
Absolutely no.
Counselor Patterson,
Yes.
Counselor Hicks,
Yay.
Counselor Compass,
Yes.
Counselor Greenfield. No. Counselor Body.
Yes.
Counselor Wright. Yes. Counselor Fosbrook.
No.
Jack is away. Counselor McKean.
No.
Counselor Ardell.
No.
Counselor Eccles.
Yes.
Counselor Bell.
Yes.
The motion is carried, 54 to 33.
Shame on you, councilors. Take your disgusting. Privatization doesn't work. Public equals better.
A recess.
You can have it all day long. I'm gonna stand here and speak since you won't listen.
Okay, let's take a 10-minute recess.